When you picture American military power, you probably imagine something like this: massive assembly lines, millions of square feet of manufacturing space, an industrial machine operating on a scale that dwarfs almost any other sector on Earth. You think of traditional titans like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Northrop Grumman, behemoths fueled by hundreds of billions of dollars in Pentagon contracts, turning raw materials into the most advanced hardware ever flown. But hiding inside that massive supply chain is a completely different variable. A huge portion of the technology driving America's modern defense platforms actually originates in a country smaller than the state of New Jersey, Israel. The standard narrative is that the United States simply writes large checks to support a strategic Middle Eastern ally. In reality, the flow of innovation is far more balanced. What has formed behind closed doors is a sophisticated, two-way ecosystem. American industrial muscle and Israeli agility have locked together to form a continuous military innovation loop. This partnership is anchored in military necessity. Both nations share deep security interests in a highly volatile region, demanding hardware that performs without fail when lives are on the line. Take the F-35 stealth fighter. Israel operates its own highly customized variant of this jet, known as the Adir, meaning mighty one. Because the Israeli Air Force flies these jets directly into active, high-threat environments, they push the airframes to their functional limits. They generate hard operational data that no American laboratory or computer simulation could ever replicate. The specific battlefield data gathered from those missions, documenting exactly how the jet's electronic warfare packages and mission software handle real-world jamming and incoming fire, flows directly back to developers in the United States. By actively fighting with these systems, the Israeli military effectively serves as a living, real-time combat laboratory, constantly refining the most expensive weapon system in the American arsenal. And that innovation loop runs in reverse, too. Consider the Iron Dome. The initial concept, the underlying engineering, and the early prototypes for this air defense system were developed entirely inside Israel. But moving a brilliant prototype into mass deployment requires massive capital and industrial capacity. The United States stepped in, injecting the heavy financial backing and factory space required to scale the system up for continuous use. Today, the Iron Dome's highly advanced Tamir interceptor missiles are co-produced right here in the U.S. by defense giant Raytheon. By moving production to American soil, U.S. engineers gain direct access to the design's operational history, applying those lessons to help shield U.S. forces against incoming cruise missiles. The same collaborative logic is now migrating into the private tech sector. That is precisely why American defense heavyweights like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and General Dynamics maintain dedicated research centers in cities like Tel Aviv. They are physically on the ground hunting for venture-backed Israeli startups. They want direct, early access to breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, in sensor fusion, and cyber warfare. The traditional American defense procurement process is notoriously sluggish, frequently taking a decade or more to field new equipment. Startups, by contrast, build, test, and iterate software in a matter of weeks. Tapping into this aggressive startup pipeline allows the U.S. military to bypass its own bureaucratic delays. They can rip commercially tested, high-speed algorithms straight from private developers and drop them directly into heavy combat platforms. We are in the middle of a transition in how wars are fought. The primary emphasis is shifting rapidly away from heavy, kinetic hardware like tanks and ships, and moving toward code, algorithms, and software. Tomorrow's conflicts will be managed by autonomous drone swarms that coordinate in midair, relying on artificial intelligence to instantly fuse millions of individual data points into a single, coherent picture of the battlefield. You cannot spend 20 years developing a software update the way you develop a stealth bomber. Code demands continuous, aggressive iteration to stay ahead of an enemy. This specific alignment solves a fundamental problem. It merges the stability of high-volume production with the speed of a software startup. You have an accelerating loop where American industrial dominance feeds Israeli rapid iteration, and vice versa. The next generation of predictive intelligence and directed energy weapons will rely entirely on this shared data ecosystem. Every sensor, drone, and interceptor feeds into the same integrated network. In the 21st century, military supremacy will not be won by a single country building an isolated weapon in secret. It will be won by the strength, speed, and agility of collaborative networks.